It's the Brad and John Show.
It's the Brad and John Show. Today's date is December 11th, 2025. It's a Thursday, so that means it's a So Happy It's Thursday. John, I'm a little bit conflicted here. Should I do a top four, or should I do a Brad's extra with the other top three?
Do a Brad's top four, Brad.
Okay, well, let's start off with, we have to bring the ladies in first. Ladies, come on in.
It's time for Brad's top three.
John, you love my ladies, don't you?
Oh, I do love your ladies, Brad.
Ladies, one more time.
I don't want to be an Eskimo brother with you, but I do love these ladies.
Okay. You know what? I'm just going to do the top three, and then I'm just going to throw an extra one at the end. Okay.
Yeah, that sounds good.
So, do you really think it sounds good? You're seriously?
Yeah, I want to hear your bonus one. It's I'm guessing Phil Rivers did something embarrassing.
Yes. Okay. Here we go.
It's number three.
Okay. Now, what's interesting about this is John brought up the fact that, and I didn't know this, that Whistlin Diesel, this guy, Cody Detweiler, who now is a multi-millionaire because he now has 10 million fans on YouTube. And if you've watched his channel, I'll be honest with you, I caught it first, 3 or 4 years ago when he first started. And I was like totally captivated by this guy. He's a young guy, probably 25, 26 years old. And what he does is he destroys cars. He buys nice cars and literally destroys them. He calls them his durability test, okay? And the problem, he bought a Ferrari that he paid, I think, $400,000 for. And he ultimately, and not intentionally, it burnt to the ground. He was driving it through a cornfield, and it stalled, and the catalytic converter started some of the what do you call the stuff that's left over after they've harvested the corn?
Call it stover.
Okay. It caught that on fire, which burnt the Ferrari down to the ground. And then the camera car, because they were in Texas at the time, the camera car, which was rented, they pulled up next to the Ferrari, not realizing the Ferrari was on fire, and the rental car burnt to the ground. So long story made short, a couple weeks ago, 6 police officers, I believe 3 county officers and 3 state officers, arrested Whistlin Diesel and took him away in handcuffs because of the fact he was being charged with felony tax evasion, because when he bought this Ferrari, he bought it and he has an LLC in Montana, which a lot of people do because of the fact that there's a loophole in the law in Montana that if you have an LLC in Montana, you can have vehicles in Montana, and when you buy them, there's no sales tax. So the state of Tennessee is after him for this money. Okay, then the next thing that came out, that after he was arrested, literally taken away in handcuffs, put in jail, he had to be bailed out. The next thing was the prosecuting attorney served him with a gag order. Are you familiar? Did you hear about this part of the story, John?
No, so he can't talk about it at all?
Well, he was given a gag order about the fact that he can't talk about this in public, and he can't talk about it on his YouTube channel. So what did Whistlin Diesel do, John?
I have no idea. What did he do?
He did a video on the gag order. And he shows the gag order, tells the name of the prosecuting attorney, the whole bit. And he said, this was last week, and he said, I'm going to court on Monday morning, and if you want to come see me in court, and a bunch of people showed up. The judge threw out the gag order, said it was overkill. The only thing he said about the gag order was, he said, the only thing I will stay or I will keep inactive is that the defendant, Whistlin Diesel, can't make any comments that would be influencing a jury, because this is going to go to a jury trial. I say it will never make it to a jury trial. I'll say they settle out of court and the thing it'll disappear because, and do you know why? Do you know why the prosecuting attorney went bonkers over this?
Why? Was he named on a video?
Oh, yeah. Whistlin.
Okay, yeah. Well, why did he go bonkers?
And not only that, Whistlin Diesel also has a very active merch store. And one of his T-shirts he's selling is his booking picture plus the front page of the gag order. So he's selling that online.
That's great.
And they're selling like hotcakes. Okay. The reason why the prosecuting attorney went BS crazy, and we're talking bat you-know-what crazy, is because his wife received one text message. Somebody figured out who his wife was, and somehow or another they got a hold of his phone number, and she got one text message sent saying that she can't, whoever this sent, you're married to a piece of blankety blank, and your husband is a blankety blank, and he went ballistic. Now, keep in mind, Whistlin Diesel has 10 million followers, And to only have what's the odds of that? 10 million to 1?
Yeah. I mean, it speaks well to his followers that no one was acting like a jerk.
Exactly. And the point being is this is a classic example of judicial overreach by the prosecutor. What do you call it? Prosecutorial, you know the term. There's a term for it.
Or, prosecutorial overreach.
Yes.
Or, Brad, Donald Trump would call it lawfare.
Yes, exactly. And the crazy part of this is, John, work with me on this. This is in Tennessee. What is Tennessee promoting around the country? Hey,
pro-business policies.
Pro-business policies. And more importantly, hey, we don't have any state income tax. But yet they're going after this guy for, I think it's $30,000 in sales tax. I get it. People go, that's a lot of money. But the problem on this is, and I do agree 100% with Whistlin Diesel, he never got a letter in the mail. He never got his attorney contacted. He never got first off, if you've, trust me, I've been on the receiving end of this stuff. You get the regular letter, then you get the certified letter, and then you show up in court. He never got any of this stuff. So what were they doing? They're trying to make an example of him, and it's backfired because they look like a bunch of stooges now, especially with this gag order thing where we're going to not let him talk. And the judge essentially said, you are violating his First Amendment rights by doing all this gag order stuff. And to me, it's funny as all get out. Okay,
Don't you think that sorry to interrupt, Brad, don't you think the prosecutor will immediately face a lot of political backlash, like whether from his bosses or however the chain of command is there?
Well, because it's getting all this crazy national attention. And, you and I talk about this. I'm an old guy. I'm like out of my element, okay? I'm an old guy who is just immersed in social media and digital. Matter of fact, I this morning before I went into the studio, I took another chapter of my class on AI. That I'm learning more in that. And matter of fact, if I told you what I'm working on last night, I spent like 3 hours in this last night, putting a new video together and stuff like that. I love this kind of stuff. And the crazy part of this is, here's a guy that most people don't know. If you'd walk into a room and say, hey, anybody watch Whistlin Diesel? Most people don't know who he is. But yet, on a daily basis, this guy gets more eyes on his screen, the screen, people watching it on their laptop or their smartphone or their desktop. This guy gets more eyes than MSNBC and CNN combined on a daily basis.
And Brad, you haven't quoted, it's amazing, you haven't quoted Gary Vee in about 4 weeks. What does Gary Vee say about attention?
It's currency.
There we go, Brad.
Attention is currency. And what's amazing to me is there's so many of these YouTubers out there that are just, matter of fact, I'll tell you an interesting story. Maybe I can get the guy on the show here. In my leads group, there's a guy that has a very popular YouTube channel. He's a local guy, and all he does is aspirations. He just gets on there and gets positive thoughts, like also some of this ASMR kind of stuff. Okay, we're ready.
Isn't that what you and I do every day, Brad? Don't I just constantly build you up every morning? Isn't that what this show is?
No, you tear me down every morning. Okay, ready for number 2? Here we go.
Yeah, I want to hear it.
Okay, on the radio station here, when we get off, it's Armstrong and Getty, 4 hours from 8 to noon, excuse me, and they do an excellent job. Then we have Erick Erickson. I like Eric, but sometimes he gets a little bit too preachy for me. He's a religious kind of guy, nothing against religion, but, I'm a believer that, unlike Tracy Ellis, that if you're going to do a talk station, you don't have to say God every third word. You know what I'm saying, John? You don't have to.
Yeah, unless you're driving on somewhere in West County and you hear 104.5, and then I hear our show interrupted by KFUR.
Right,
and then I love hearing them say God and singing a hymn while you and I are arguing with each other. Go ahead, Brett.
Erick Erickson, yesterday, he's a pretty influential guy, knows a lot of very important people. He said he recently had a dinner with a couple of his friends who he said one guy is a top-level executive at a Fortune 100 company. The other guy is a top executive at a Fortune 500 company. And they started talking about hiring practices. And Erick Erickson said both of these guys, when they talk to their HR people, they have told them, and the HR people agree, that if someone submits a resume and they have their pronouns listed, they don't get hired. And he says, there's a reason for this. I'm not really good at paraphrasing what he said, but he goes into this long explanation about how these are the executives saying these people are not good workers because they're looking at things through a lens that not too many people look at, that they're looking at society from a very biased viewpoint where the employees they want are there to do the job, not be social warriors. Does that make any sense to you, John?
It does, yeah. Now, I imagine if you were an attorney listening to that,
yes,
you would have a field day.
Right, exactly.
Because you can't discriminate. It'd be like the old studies of discriminating against a Lakeisha rather than a Lisa because you don't like their name and you don't like their pronouns. But it probably is not surprising, right? Like if your pronouns are in your bio, you're probably going to be pretty offended by everything.
But you know what? On several
What's that,
occasions
Brad?
since I've been doing this show, I've been complimented on my pronouns on my Twitter profile, on my X profile.
Yeah, which are dude and dudeness, right?
Yes, I have people every once in a while.
I'm a big fan of it, Brad.
Every once in a while, that's what's on my X profile. It says pronouns dude and dudeness. Okay, we ready for number one, and then I
want to hear it, Brad.
And then I'll do the extra. Okay, so here, let me do the number one thing. Here we go.
And now, big finish, Brad's number.
Okay, I hope this is going to work. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to push a little button here, and I'm going to do this, and hopefully this is going to come up.
You know, I've experienced a lot of things as a professional journalist, but December 9th may have been the first time I was officially worn out by Missouri redistricting news. At the beginning of Tuesday, a group called People Not Politicians turned in more than 300,000 signatures to place the decidedly Republican-leaning congressional map up for a statewide vote in November 2026.
Our democracy belongs to us, not to politicians, and we're going to have the final say.
Now, based off the Missouri Constitution and recent precedent, the map should be frozen until either Secretary of State Denny Hoskins finds there are not enough signatures, or until Missouri voters approve the referendum in November. But both Attorney General Catherine Hanaway and Hoskins now believe the map goes into effect on Thursday.
The map would not be frozen until the Secretary of State, until I certify the referendum.
And at the tail end of Tuesday, Cole County Judge Christopher Limbaugh ruled that Missouri lawmakers do have the right to redraw congressional lines in the middle of the decade. And yes, he definitely used the contention that I have not been able to stop talking about that is eerily similar to the 1997 film Air Bud. So what does this all mean? Well, Limbaugh's decision on mid-decade redistricting is going to go to the Missouri Supreme Court. As for the referendum, a state court is almost certainly going to decide whether the map is now in a state of suspended animation or whether it will still be in place up until late July. This is a lot to sift through, and I'm sure that you have a lot of questions about where Missouri's redistricting saga is at this point in time. Send me a message right here or comment down below, and we're going to try to answer your queries the best we can.
Now, John, who was that voice?
You know,
Are you playing another clip there?
No, it started playing and I just stopped it.
Oh, okay. That is Jason Rosenbaum, the lead political correspondent at St. Louis Public Radio.
Now, the video starts off with him sitting on the floor, throwing this paper in the air. And here, let me just run the very beginning of it. This is the very beginning of it. Listen to what he says again.
I've experienced a lot of things as a professional journalist, but December 9th may have been the first time I was officially worn out by Missouri redistricting news.
Now, it's interesting because when he says that, he gets a lower third under him, which says Jason Rosenbaum, tired political reporter. He's tired because this is such a mess. It's such a crazy, weird mess. Now, first off, Jason Rosenbaum, oh, hold it. I just got texted. Oh, my God. I just got a cease and desist order from St. Louis Public Radio.
Maybe they'll sell T-shirts. We should talk about KCUR in a moment, too, but go ahead. So Jason, by the way, if folks don't follow him already on Instagram, I would suggest you follow him on Instagram. I'm not a TikTok guy, but I know he's on TikTok. And Brad, he probably does stuff for old people on Facebook as well. But his videos are phenomenal.
Yeah, this is a Facebook, or this is actually a YouTube short, and he probably just repurposes it and makes it into a YouTube short and a TikTok. A lot of people repurpose them back and forth.
He's so good.
Yeah,
They're so good.
And he's so good. The only problem is he doesn't like me, and he's coming after me, John. I don't know why that is.
Again, if you're new to the show, welcome. One of the great things that we've done in the last 2 years is expose Brad's imaginary beefs, where if someone doesn't return a phone call of a sales pitch from Brad, suddenly Brad says they're mad at him, when it turns out they're just avoiding a phone call from a salesman. Now, Brad, I mentioned KCUR real quick. I don't mean to get us off redistricting, but KCUR in Kansas City is now peddling T-shirts. And you can go to johncombest.com today, and you can see a link to our friend Tony Bateo, who covered this. You can buy a T-shirt that has the word defund with a strike through, and then underneath it, defend, and then the KCUR logo. Brad, don't stand by idly while Donald Trump and his allies defund public radio. Defend it. Give some money to KCUR, Brad.
John, you know what we need to do? And it's interesting. I haven't told you about this. We need to have our own T-shirt. We need to have our own merch deal, okay? And there's
I'm sure it would be high quality if you're in charge of it, Brad.
No.
Will it say the Brad and Bron John show? No. Will you have AI do it and then not fact check it?
There's a company out in St. Peters. I guess it's St. Peters. They used to be right off Mid Rivers. Now they're off of 364. Matter of fact, they have great websites. They have two websites. They do shirts and they do hats, and I'll give them a free plug. Shirt.co and hat.co. So if you go on the shirt.co site, you can set up an account where they essentially do all the back end stuff. In other words, they just give you a little app you put on your YouTube page or whatever page you put it on your web page.
And you can it's like having your own Etsy shop. They do all the actual work,
right? And
people are duped into thinking you have your own store.
Right, exactly. But the problem is, I signed up for one, and I went through the initial qualification, and then you get another email, and it's like you got to stand on your head and turn around 3 times and do 4 jumping jacks with your decapitated, or your amputated left leg being gone.
Well, they probably want to make sure you're not just a teenager who's
right.
looking for a shirt that says 6'7". They probably want to make sure that you could actually pay them, right?
So we could have some great T-shirts, John. I'm telling you.
Yeah, I absolutely am not down for that. As long as you're involved in the creative process, I don't want to be a part of it.
John,
the Brad and Bron John show.
Okay, John is always so nice to me. Okay, so I've blown through my segment. So what we're going to do is we're going to pick up the Phil Rivers story in the C block, because John, I'm telling you, this is a banger in John vernacular. This is a banger,
I can't
John.
wait to hear it. I'm not going to look it up in break because I just want to be surprised by it, Brad.
You don't want to be spoiled. Okay,